Is Rahul Gandhi maligning India abroad? If he is, shouldn't strict and exemplary action be not initiated against him? Should we tolerate Rahul Gandhi or anybody maligning our beloved country, the country we love, abroad? This is a question that we are going to examine. And the context of this question, of course, is very obvious to you. Rahul Gandhi is on a tour to 4 South American countries. And in the course of this outing, he is addressing various meetings, several of them in universities. He's interacting with the press, interacting with the intelligentsia, interacting with the academic community, as well as the political leadership in these countries. So in the course of the speeches he makes certain comments on the state of democracy in India, a kind of audit of the health of Indian democracy. And he states it explicitly that democracy is in danger in India. Now, the question is Rahul Gandhi deliberately maligning India? Now, to settle this question, the first thing we have to do is to decide as to what maligning means. If you say something real and truthful about somebody, you can't say that you are maligning. Suppose somebody does a heinous crime, a despicable act, and you say that he did such and such, it doesn't amount to maligning or defaming somebody. In law, in defamation law, telling the truth is not tantamount to defamation. It becomes maligning or defamation only if the reputation of a person, and by extension, if you like, the law cannot be stretched in that manner, but for the sake of argument, the reputation of a person or the image of a country is deliberately tarnished on the basis of concocted, whimsical, arbitrary, untrue statements, invented allegations meant to malign. Only then. So therefore, to decide to question whether or not Rahul Gandhi is maligning India, the most basic thing we have to do is to examine if he is making statements which are not founded in facts. If he is making factual statements, if he is stating the truth, he is holding a mirror up to the prevailing reality, then by no stretch of imagination can you say that Rahul Gandhi is maligning Mother India. He's simply telling the truth about Mother India. After all, the motto of Mother India is Satyameva Jayate Nanardam. So all Indians are under a sacred obligation to tell the truth, to stand up for the truth, and to uphold the truth, nothing but the truth. So the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So that is as clear as I can make it. Now the question is Indian democracy in danger? I would request you to go back in memory and recall the first and historic press conference addressed by 4 Supreme Court judges. And the one theme that they proclaimed to the whole nation, the central theme of their press interaction, the like of which never happened in the history of Indian judiciary, was Indian democracy is in peril. Indian democracy is in peril. So this is not what Rahul Gandhi is saying. This is what the 4 senior most judges of the Supreme Court of India said at that time. You can look that up on the net, you will get all the details. So this apprehension that all is not well with Indian democracy has been taking shape and intensifying over a period of time. Now, in order to now come to the facts of the matter, how, for example, India is assessed. There are 2 ways, there are 2 kinds of assessment about India. One is the assessment that the ruling party, the coalition government makes, and the spokespersons articulate. The other is how we are perceived by independent autonomous agencies outside of India. Which verdict is likely to be objective and truthful is up to you to judge. The spokespersons of the government, particularly the spokespersons of the BJP, which today are considered also the spokespersons of the government of India, de facto, if not de jure, they say that India is a vibrant economy, a vibrant democracy. India is a vibrant, exemplary, model democracy, the foremost functioning democracy. This is the claim. And therefore, if you assume that to be the case, then what Rahul Gandhi is saying outside the country is certainly an act meant to malign the image of India. It is an anti-national act, and it is culpable by any standard of evaluation. But what is the truth about India? I'll just give you two indications, that's all. There are many things that we can say in this regard, but I'll give you just two indications so that you can think and investigate this issue for yourself. First is, how is the status and the health of Indian democracy assessed by foreign independent assessing agencies? For example, the World Democracy Index, which is the most relevant data for the present discussion. The World Democracy Index. It's published annually, and the latest World Democracy Index report shows India as occupying the 156th position, I think. Yeah, 150th position. India is 150 in the World Democracy Index. Now, to give you an idea about this World Democracy Index, in this index, countries of the world are categorized in three sections. One is called working democracy. Now, at the top of the list of working democracy is a country called Denmark, which has a score of 0.958. 0.958, nearly perfect. Denmark. So that is an example of working democracy, or you can call it functioning democracy. The second category is titled deficient democracy. Deficient democracy. India doesn't figure in the list of working democracy. India doesn't figure even in the list of deficient democracy. India is put in the list of hybrid regimes. Hybrid regimes. It's not even called democracy. It's very interesting. Hybrid, which is a mix of democracy and dictatorship, or what have you. That is how we are assessed, and our score on the World Democracy Index is 0.564. 0.564. What is the score of Denmark? 0.958. What is India's score? 0.564. What is our rank? 150 among 184 countries. That's how we are assessed. This is not Rahul Gandhi's assessment. It is not Congress Party's assessment. It is not Indie Alliance assessment. It's an assessment of a body which is globally reputed, trusted, respected. Okay, so that is as far as the state of our democracy, the health of our democracy is concerned. We are not in the list of working democracy. We are not in the list of deficient democracy. We are in the list of hybrid regimes, and therefore we are in no way different from Pakistan or the other countries which are listed in this group. So that's something that we have to understand. It's a very, very startling, sobering truth. There's no point in living in a fool's paradise. We have to know where we are, so that at least we will begin to experience the need to get up and walk from here to a better state. Now let us take another important consideration, which is the second set of data I want to give to you. That is the World Press Freedom Index. We all say that the media, the press, is the guardian of democracy. Okay? So when we talk about the state of health of a democracy, we must certainly talk about the status of press freedom in that country or society. According to the World Press Freedom Index, published by the Reporters Without Borders, which is again a very globally.
So, can you tell me your name and which company you work at?
Globally respected.
My name is Rashmi and I work at TCS. Interesting. So,
sorry about this. It's a globally respected assessing body. According to the assessment of this body, with respect to the status of press freedom, freedom of the press in India, we are 182 in the list. We are 182 in the list. So that is where we are. You can check the net and you can see for yourself. We are rated so poorly. So nobody really can say, if there is an element of an iota of truthfulness in a person, that what Rahul Gandhi is saying is a bunch of lies concocted to malign India. Telling the truth is not anti-national, especially with reference to a country whose national motto is Satyameva Jayate. If you are an Indian, especially if you are a patriotic Indian, you have to tell the truth. Even if that truth is unpleasant, you still have to tell the truth. So this is something that you have to be very, very clear about. The second thing I want to argue, and this will take a little bit of participation and patience from you. What I'm now going to say is a little difficult, but you have to understand some of these things in order to think truthfully and fairly. If you want to be truthful, correct, objective, fair to all parties, you have to have the conceptual framework for thinking. Now, one of the things that Rahul Gandhi has been alerting this country about which we have been aware even before Rahul Gandhi started talking about it, is that the various institutions of the state are under siege. Clear? The BJP-led NDA government has been doing everything imaginable to capture the various institutions of the state that are meant to function as checks and balances in the exercise of power, because of the old dictum, the dictum of Lord Acton, all power corrupts, absolute power absolutely. So you give absolute power to anyone, that absolute power is power without any checks and balances. So if you invest a person with absolute power, power without checks and balances, then rest assured that that person will become a tyrant, a dictator. There's no question about it. There can be no two opinions about it. That's the reason why, in order to ensure the health and wholeness of a democracy, checks and balances are institutionalized through various constitution-mandated agencies. We are familiar with them: executive, legislature, judiciary, and the fourth, of course, is the fourth pillar is the media. And then various institutions of the state itself, like CBI, ED, income tax, and what have you, investigating agencies. Then the appointment of governors, which has got all sorts of ramifications. So Rahul Gandhi has been crying hoarse. Not only Rahul alone, but several opposition leaders have been crying hoarse that the institutions of the states that are meant to safeguard the health of health and wholeness of Indian democracy are under siege. In fact, they have already been captured. Now, what is the problem here? What is the problem here? Now, to understand this, you have to look at the Constitution. What is the preamble of the Indian Constitution? The preamble actually foregrounds four values. It's very interesting. I don't think people realize the importance of these four values, because people don't really, in India, I haven't seen anybody paying any attention to the first value stated in the preamble to the Indian Constitution. We talk about liberty, equality, fraternity, but these are not the first values. The framers of the Indian Constitution, who understood the Indian Constitution, therefore anticipated what could happen to Indian democracy, very wisely placed justice as the foremost value. If you take the list of the 4 values stated in the preamble of the Indian Constitution, they are justice first, then liberty, equality, fraternity. Liberty, equality, fraternity borrowed from the context of the French Revolution. I will say nothing about it because time will get out of control. In this video, I'm going to deal with justice and justice alone. Because I'm convinced, as Ambedkar was convinced, that no society, no country can remain democratic if it is not absolutely uncompromisingly committed to justice for the people. Justice for the people. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a World Justice Index, and therefore we do not know how India would have been assessed. But as people, as citizens living within the country, we are not aliens and strangers to the realities within the country. And therefore, it's important to raise this question in a very pointed manner as to what is the extent of justice available to people, particularly the middle class down, the poor, the marginalized, the tribals, the Dalits, the women, so on and so forth. What is the extent of justice available? Now, if, for example, you think of Manipur, which has been in a very deplorable state for more than 2 years, is justice available to the people of Manipur? And now, of course, Ladakh, is justice available to them? Is justice available to the tribal people who are agitating for their rights, so on and so forth? Is justice available to opposition leaders, against whom investigating agencies are very liberally and generously used? Whereas all the corrupt among the opposition parties who cleverly migrated from their original parties to BJP have been dry cleaned and accommodated in the enclave of the clean. So where is justice in all this? So the whole problem of justice, I would like us to understand this, because I've not seen, and I'm not boasting, I've not seen a good enough treatment of this theme. To me, the most reliable, most objective, scientific way of assessing the health of a democratic society is through the angle of justice. Justice. Now, in order to sort of give us a line of thinking, let me make a reference to an author who is outside India so that no partisan interest can be alleged. And I'm referring to one of the foremost thinkers on the subject, Hegel, the German philosopher. Hegel said that state is the ideal of which justice is the real of which state is the real of which justice is the ideal. It's very, very, very good to remember this. This can really guide our thinking. The reality of that which is real is the state. What is the ideal? The ideal is justice. So, according to Hegel, who is one of the greatest thinkers, political philosophers on the theme that we are dealing with, the very purpose for the state to exist is to guarantee justice for all citizens. So, the state is the real of which justice is the ideal. Now, the problem, the dynamics or the logic or the process of degeneration is that the real rejects the ideal, and then by rejecting the ideal, the real begins to become depraved, decayed, becomes anti-life, and becomes oppressive. So, democracy, according to Hegel, will definitely, necessarily, inevitably degenerate, become corrupt, oppressive, if it dilutes its commitment to justice. This is something that you have to understand very clearly. Now let us ask the question, how are we to understand this? What does justice mean in the political context? I'm not adopting a legal, juridical perspective. I'm adopting a commonsensical, political, philosophical approach here. Now, in very simple terms, justice means fair dealing, dealing fairly with people. And the basis for this fair dealing is equality. One aspect is equality before law. The other, which is even more important, as American thinkers have been saying, is even more important than equality in the eye of law is equality of opportunities. In a tradition-bound, archaic society, equality of opportunity is simply absent. And you have to really investigate this theme for yourself as to how many people equality of opportunity is real. There are various factors to this. If I go into those factors again, time will really spin out of control. I wish I had the time. I wish you had the patience. I have the time, but unfortunately, those who are in the social media context do not have the patience. Therefore, I have to really pull back from all of this. So, dealings. As I said, leaders of the opposition are not dealt the way leaders of the BJP are dealt. They are protected irrespective of what they do. States are not treated equally. BJP ruled states, double engine sarkar. That very concept is discriminatory. It is saying that you as a state will get your dues only if you allow our party to govern you. So there is discrimination. There is discrimination at all levels. So discrimination runs counter to the idea of fair dealings. Now, there are various aspects to this. For example, for millions and millions of people in this country, provisions in the Indian Constitution are inoperative. The Dalits, the Adivasis, etc., the poor. If the rights of the poor are abrogated, they can't go to a court of law and win a case because the legal system is so prohibitive in expense and procedure that it's not a viable option for the vast majority of the poor people in this country. So all kinds of explicit and hidden discriminations. So fair dealings, to what extent is fair dealings available to people at large? This is one aspect of justice. The other aspect of justice is, and this is what is never talked about, for justice to be upheld in a society, there must be a commitment to goodness of life, the idea of goodness. Now, here let me introduce you to another author, Plato, the great Greek philosopher Plato. Plato said that the idea of goodness is what shapes justice. That is to say, a society which is not committed to goodness can never practice or accept the duty to be just and fair. So the foundation of justice is goodness. And he says goodness is a godly category, and I fully agree with this Plato. Goodness is the godly category. What is good or bad should not be decided by human beings, because if these two things are defined subjectively, then whatever is convenient to me is good and what is convenient to you is bad. So it has to have, they have to have objective standards. For example, equality is a good, liberty is a good. So all of them, these different provisions are meant to protect and preserve the goodness of life. The third aspect of this justice is the harmony of various institutions, and this is specifically in the context of democracy. I have so far introduced three ideas. One is the idea of fair dealings. The other is the idea of goodness, which according to Plato is a foundation for fair dealings. And the third idea is the harmony of life reflected in the harmony of the institutions in the society. If one institution in the society is working at cross purposes with another society, or all institutions in the society are at sixes and sevens with each other, there is anarchy, and in a state of anarchy, no justice can be practiced. It is precisely here that the issue that Rahul Gandhi has been flagging must be considered, though I don't think Rahul Gandhi understands it in that context. Rahul Gandhi needs to realize, and with Rahul Gandhi, every one of us needs to realize, that this sort of discrimination, this sort of rising tension in our society, this deliberate and explicit attempt to foment animosities, conflicts, hatred, division, alienation in our society is actually the climate aimed at creating a climate of opinion in which the harmony of institutions can be completely destabilized, eroded. Now, if you try to capture democratic institutions in a society of harmony, then people will detect it quickly and they will react. If democratic institutions are hijacked in a context of disharmony, conflict, tension, one section of the society played against the other, an ambience of poisonous hatred, etc., nobody will mind it because it will not be felt as something unusual. In fact, people will think that that's the right thing to do. It's a clever thing to do. People will never say that it's an abominable thing to do. And therefore, by creating this poisonous atmosphere of conflict, tension, mutual alienation, suspicion, hatred, etc., we create, or the people who are responsible for it, they do it deliberately in order to create a favorable climate of opinion in which democratic institutions that are meant to serve as checks and balances to the exercise of power, the power of the executive, it becomes, or at least it seems, a harmless procedure or a natural procedure, and people will fail to understand the serious issues, the serious danger that is staring them in the face. This is something that has to be understood. It has to be explained to the people of India. Unfortunately, nobody is educating the people of India. I've been by profession and vocation, by choice, a teacher. I want to stay a teacher till the last breath of my life. So if democratic institutions are being destabilized, if, for example, the Election Commission of India today functions as though, I don't know if that is the case, but the impression that is created, if the Election Commission of India functions as though it is a department of the BJP, and therefore the allegation that Rahul makes that democratic institutions are being hijacked or captured, then please understand that it's not an isolated issue. It's an issue that actually touches upon the health of Indian democracy, beyond that, the health of Indian society, and in fact, even the mental health of the people. Nobody is today doing any research on how all this poisonous atmosphere that's being created is undermining the mental health of Indians and India as a whole. It's a very serious issue. No attention is being paid to this very serious problem, which is unfolding itself right under our nose. So, the sum total of all this is that justice becomes a receding, eluding mirage, and it becomes a prerogative only of the rich and the powerful. If you, for example, think of equality of opportunity as an aspect of justice, do the children of the poor in this country stand any chance in respect of future? They're crippled through education, which is highly discriminatory. Education as it is practiced in this country serves only to aggravate social differences and to actually exclude the vast majority of people from this rat race for the largest piece of the national cake. Then, when it comes to employment, because you are underqualified, for which you are actually not to blame, you have been a victim of this discriminatory system, which excludes you from quality education. And quality education becomes the preserve of the rich, the elite, the economic, political elite. So their children have merit. The children of the poor, the children of the Dalits, the Adivasis, the tribals, etc., they have no merit. And therefore, they are not entitled. After the Supreme Court of India says that, going by merit is in the national interest. But the Supreme Court refuses to look at some of these dynamics. And maybe this is not being presented to the Supreme Court of India. So please understand that the health, in fact, the future of a democracy, or India as a democracy, depends very substantially on the extent to which we are really sincerely committed to justice for all people. In my opinion, it's far away from this. We are far away from that goal. And therefore, whether it is the BJP that rules India or the Congress that rules India or any other party, it's immaterial to me. The fact of the matter is if the health of Indian democracy is to be preserved, I repeat, if the health of Indian democracy is to be preserved, we have to regain our lost commitment to making justice prevail in India. And that's the first and foremost value stated as such in the preamble to the Indian Constitution. So, is Rahul Gandhi maligning India? Or is he telling the truth? Is truth telling an anti-national activity? Or should patriotism mean that we shut our eyes to reality? After all, the people who ask you to shut your eyes to the realities in the midst of which you live, they do not suffer from the realities that prevail. Only you are the victims of these realities. Therefore, it is very much and absolutely in their interest to exhort you to shut your eyes against the realities that impinge on you from day to day, the realities on account of which you suffer and they prosper. So they can, with great aplomb, exhort you to shut your eyes to these realities in the interest of Deshbhakti, patriotism, whereas they will not suffer the least inconvenience because of patriotism. So is Rahul Gandhi telling the truth? And is telling the truth an anti-democratic, anti-national activity, anti-patriotic posturing? Or is it a basic duty of all human beings, whether you are Indian or American or Chinese or Pakistani or what have you? Are you human? Don't you have a duty to tell the truth, to stand by the truth, irrespective of where you are? So unless and until truth is stated, we cannot generate a popular democratic compulsion to address the pressing realities from which the people suffer. The leaders, the elites don't suffer. Stating the truth, therefore, becomes a patriotic activity on behalf of the people, though those in power will be quick to discredit it as an anti-national activity as far as their interests are concerned. So therefore, reduced to its essentials, what this great complaint about Rahul Gandhi's anti-national activities beyond our borders really means is only this much. Rahul, you're threatening our interests. Please be careful. It is not acceptable to us. You may be doing it on behalf of the people of India you love, but that's something that's simply not acceptable to us. Therefore, shut up. That's all that this means. And I hope and pray that the people of India will become increasingly educated and enlightened about the realities that are staring us in the face. Jai Hind. May God bless India.